They are the two hottest competitors on the PBA Tour. Likely Player of the Year, E.J. Tackett. And five-time major champion, Anthony Simonsen. Today, both of these phenoms are seeking to advance in the final major of the season. Here are the quarterfinals of the PBA Players Championship. It's next on FS1.
Inside historic Bowlero North Brunswick in New Jersey for the quarterfinals of the PBA Players Championship, presented by Snickers. We're in a bracket format today, the quarterfinals. Two shows. The first one will begin with E.J. Tackett and McCune and Tomas Käyhkö and Anthony Simonsen in the other quarterfinal. And hello again, everybody, along with the Hall of Famer Randy Peterson and Kimberly Pressler. I'm Dave Lamont. It was expensive, Randy, but it was worth it.
It never gets old. I love it. Thank you. Thank you, New Jersey. Welcome back, my friend. It's great to be working with you again.
I can't. No place I'd rather be than right here, right now. The biggest story in the PBA, obviously, E.J. Tackett. I'll ask you a very simple question. What's the difference between a guy who's been on the cusp of domination to the guy who is dominating?
Hey, don't get quiet. Keep it going. Let's go. Dave, the biggest difference for me watching E.J. Tackett in 2023 is all about confidence, right? And we all know what confidence can do to professional athletes. We see it in every sport. But E.J., this season, he's making better shots under pressure. He's more clutch when he has to be. Take a look at his U.S. Open victory earlier in the season. He did the same thing at the World Championship just a couple weeks ago. The other thing that's changed for him is his lane play strategy. It's way better. All this stems from the newfound confidence for E.J. Tackett.
In addition to confidence, as we take a look at his majors results, has he changed his physical game at all?
Not a bit. Not a bit. But he realizes and understands what creates the bad shots in crucial moments, and that's when he gets too fast. He's got a tremendous amount of lag from the top of the swing, and he can maintain that as long as he doesn't get too quick and too fast at the start.
And he is standing by right now, lane side with Kimberly Pressler.
Thanks, guys. So, EJ, historic season in the making for you. You've already won 5 times. 2 of them have been majors, and you've all but wrapped up the Player of the Year. That's got to give you a ton of confidence with that much success. So does it make it easier? Does it take the pressure off you to come out here and win?
Absolutely not. And if you ask me, I haven't won anything yet. Simo's on this show, has a chance to win a major championship. We still have some titles left in the year. I have to continue to bowl well. He's had an unbelievable year. So if I want to win that Player of the Year, I'm going to have to keep doing what I've been doing.
And what's going to be key for you to win on this dual pattern today?
I think just getting my angles right on each lane, projecting the ball the correct way as the lanes develop. I kind of struggled with that down in the lower bay at the end of the qualifying game, so I think that's going to be the biggest key for me today.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you very much, EJ. You know, this is going to be fun with a little bit of a twist because we have this race to 2. So you get a point, you win the first game. If you win the second game, if you won both, congratulations. If you don't, and if we're tied after 2, we will go to a roll-off, the 9th and 10th frames. And if you win that, then you move on. By the way, if you tie, we go back to the old 1-ball roll-off. We'll explain that 1 or 2 more times. If you have not seen Kevin McCune, the number 9 seed, maybe you've seen him on Bowl TV. This is his first appearance on Fox. Cover your ears if you have sensitive hearing.
Yeah, and don't blink.
And 21.1.
Yeah, it's not quite as fast as what we saw yesterday, but give him some time. He can amp it up. He's got a lot more throttle.
There is a NASCAR race on after us, and I would love to do some kind of comparison between if he were a race car driver, what he'd be hitting in his car. This is a rev rate special with these two, both from Indiana. And here is the number 1 seed, E.J. Tackett. This could have been a brother-brother match.
Yeah.
Kevin McCune got in the way of that. We'll explain that in a moment. It's an odd sound on that shot there as he leaves the 3-6-10. Might have been something that was rolling on the ball, but I don't know. It sounded a little funky to me.
I didn't catch it. I'm sorry.
That's
There's
all
Zach.
right.
There's his wife, Natalie, EJ's wife. And like you alluded to, Dave, it was great seeing Zach on a telecast for the first time.
I always love the contemptuous way EJ throws his spares.
Well, you know, we always talk about straight and hard, and something that we're going to bring up a little bit later. Got a little nugget from my friend Mike Flanagan from Bowl TV.
Take a look at these numbers for the year. You see that EJ Tackett is ridiculous. Highest during this week in strike percentage and in average. You see his arsenal. And there's our first strike of the match.
EJ Tackett going with a carbide tank on both lanes. Check out the oil patterns there. You can see the longer Dick Weber pattern there on the left lane. And you can see that right here, folks. Oops, tried to draw on it.
Yeah, we should mention we've got 45 feet and 39 feet. The Don Carter pattern is the shorter one, which is where we find McCune. Crossing over and fortunately broke up a baby split.
McCune going with brutal collision on both lanes to start. And pretty appropriate name for that ball he's using, don't you think? Because pretty much what happens when his ball hits the head pin.
Yeah, with his style, oh my gosh. So we had a field of 18 get cut down to 12. And then yesterday, McCune takes out Zach Tackett. And Zach had a rough middle, but, you know, he made McCune show up in the 10th.
Yeah, he sure did. I actually spoke to Zach prior to today's telecast. He said, you know, I got trapped out of the commercial break. First time on television, didn't know what to expect, but he bailed it out through the last 4 to force Kevin to get a mark in the 10th. Kevin left the 10 pin, covered it, and here he is today.
And, oh, that's the fastest ringing 10 I've ever seen. Well, and one other thing to follow up to what you said, I've had a lot of bowlers tell me the hardest shot on television is the first one out of the break.
Yeah, I mean, it always has been, especially when it's your first time.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know what to expect. You know, you could get all the advice from half the players on tour, but until you experience it, it's tough.
The other thing that first-time people will tell you bowling on television is they seem that it goes by so quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, I asked him how fast was that match yesterday. He said, unbelievably fast. And I said, yeah, it's fast in the booth. It's even faster down on the floor.
Pretty good chance he's going to add another one to the mantle of his Indiana home. And almost a trip 4, just shy of 20 miles an hour.
And again, 48 games of qualifying. And then yesterday was a 1-game sprint. Today it's the best of 2 games. Win 2 games, move on. If you split the 2 games, like you mentioned, Dave, then we'll have a 9th and 10th frame roll-off.
Look down at the approach there for a moment. But Randy, take us through the patterns in a little more detail here.
Well, 2 of the greatest names in the history of the sport, Don Carter, Dick Weber. Carter on the right, the shorter of the 2 patterns at 39 feet. The players can actually get a little bit outside of first arrow on the right side of the lane. And the Dick Weber pattern, they're going to play more towards the center and feed the ball to the track area right around that second arrow. And again, you could see the difference in the lengths right there on your screen. Great shot by our friends at Clutch.
And Tackett kick saving a beauty on the 10 pin.
Can you tell the mechanics to quit yelling?
Quick word with tournament director John Weber.
Yeah.
He could actually hear the mechanics in the back.
I heard him when I was up over here.
I guess the mechanics in the back were having a pretty loud conversation, and that's what EJ was referring to.
Are they not watching?
I have no idea what's going on back there. And, oh.
The pin action that you'll see is also somewhat unprecedented.
RPM's approaching almost 500. With ball speed, with that excessive ball speed, it's creating a tremendous vortex going through the pins.
He'll cover that. By the way, we haven't forgotten about his legacy, the McCune name in professional bowling. His dad, Eugene, two-time Midwest Region Senior Player of the Year, 3 PBA Tour titles. And then his grandfather, Don, 8 titles and 1973 PBA Player of the Year. And he is in the dual Halls of Fame, both the PBA and USBC.
Pretty impressive. I promise you, and I bowled against his dad a lot back in the day, and Eugene could do it all, but he was I think recognized more for throwing it really fast and hard from the extreme outside part of the lane. I think maybe his last title came on the cheetah pattern, which obviously allows for that. But I promise you, neither one of them threw it like Kevin.
No, very few people do. Former baseball player was Kevin McCune. And another steady 4. He liked it coming off the hand. I think he was expecting a better result. Straight and hard at the single pin.
Tour average 98%. We get those numbers from our great friends at Lane Talk. You want to be a better bowler, Dave? You want to know more about the sport? You want to strike more often?
I think you know the answer to that.
Go to lanetalk.com.
I will. Thank you.
EJ's been moving every shot on that right lane thus far, halfway through game 1.
Boy, that's not a rerun. I sucked my breath in a little bit there because I feared that going directly through the nose. And Tackett in a position he hasn't been in too often on television this year, looking just a little confused at the moment, anyway. No big mistakes yet from either player, but E.J. Tackett struggling to find the strike line that made him the #1 seed here in the PBA's Player Championship presented by Snickers. McCune and Tackett, 2 Hoosiers, will pick up the rest of the match when we return to New Jersey. The PBA on FS1 is sponsored by Guaranteed Rate. Want to move fast? With same-day mortgage, you can go from application to approval in as fast as 1 day to get you closing on the home of your dreams in just 10 days. Learn more at rate.com. And by Bowlero, the #1 place to bowl, party, and play with over 325 locations nationwide. Head to Bowlero.com today to find a center near you. Going to pick up the rest of this match here, the quarterfinals of the PBA Players Championship presented by Snickers. We have a doubleheader for you today, this live show right now, and then tonight at 9:30 we'll have the other 2 matches, and it's a race to 2 and with another twist. But let's get McCune's next shot. Uh-oh. Oof. Boy, the one church on Sunday you never want to see.
Right out of commercial break, Greek Church on the right lane. We just got done talking about that commercial break.
Oh, he just went his... I think he, the little flame indicator, I think it's broken.
Watch this replay. I mean, this was coming down that lane in a hurry. So we talk about the straight and hard, right?
Yeah.
Spares. And it makes total sense at a split attempt like Kevin just did. But Mike Flanagan brought up something very interesting to me. I'll tell you right after the shot.
There you go.
Nice comeback.
Straight back there, yeah.
Nice comeback after that Greek Church on the right lane. But, Flanagan said, Dave, he says, why straight and hard?
Well, we'll get to that point in a moment, but the Tackett family, EJ and Zach, and all the members of the Tackett family, certainly something else on their minds while competing this week. And after this shot, we'll throw it to Kimberly with that. Kimberly, it's all yours.
Yeah, Dave, so sadly, the Tackett family mourned the loss of Gomer Tackett, their beloved Papa, as they called him. He passed Monday unexpectedly while EJ and his brother Zach were starting the run for the Players Championship here. Gomer, who was a mechanic at their family's bowling center for 25 years, was intricate in influencing EJ and Zach to follow their dreams of pro bowling. EJ told us, I know he's super proud of Zach and I would have been overcome with joy to see both his boys on TV this week. And I spoke to Natalie as well, his wife, and she told me that they've been using their love as motivation all this week, using the hashtag #DoItForGomer. What a special way to honor them, guys.
And Kimberly, thank you very much, and certainly our condolences to the Tackett family.
Absolutely. You know, and speaking with Natalie and Zach, EJ, I think one of the things that really stood out from Grandpa was the work ethic. And he said, look, work hard, show perseverance and humility along the way.
And a mixer strike.
All right, so getting back to this high speed thing, right? So remember Norm Duke, obviously one of the greatest on the planet.
Absolutely.
He wouldn't even change bowling balls to shoot a single pin spare, right? He would use his strike ball. He would flatten his wrist out. He would roll it end over end, and he would throw it real straight at a single pin spare.
Go. It went 21.7 that time.
Yeah, deficit down to 3 now. But Norm would use the same ball speed that he would use on a strike ball. So in essence, his cadence, his approach stays the same. When you go from throwing a strike ball at 19 miles an hour, let's say tour average, to throwing a spare shot at 24, something has to change.
Right. Common sense, yeah, you're right. By the way, that's the first double we've had in this match from either player. McCune going back-to-back at a critical time. He's taken one of his 2 re-racks. Tackett still has his, if he needs them, as we enter the foundation frame. Well, he had a bucket there for a second, but he's going to end up with a makeable spare, and we'll undoubtedly see some MPHs on this one.
Just a little right down lane, and at that speed, there's no way that ball's coming around the corner. Good cover.
Smothered it, but Tackett, the top seed, and he was chosen to finish on the left lane, the longer of the 2 patterns. We're 45 on the left, 39 on the right. His fist as the ball hit the pins. I don't think he expected that.
7-9 was stared at him for just a brief second, but EJ's first double. Watch this pin action. I mean, he aces this, he loves it, and then the 7-9 took its time, and EJ gave it a little stink eye.
And it looks like he's taking one of his 2 re-racks as he gets ready to go on the left-hand lane. They see what he needs, 16-pin fill to get the first point. This very quickly here, it's the race to 2. If EJ does indeed shut McCune out of this game, they're going to have another game. And if McCune wins it, we'll have a roll-off 9th and 10th frame.
Are you kidding me?
I wish I was.
Are you kidding me?
Well, we saw it yesterday with Chris Vi on that left lane.
Really? Both of them?
It happened twice on the very same lane. It happens to EJ in the 10th frame. Couldn't be worse timing.
Kevin McCune back in business. Going for number 5 here. No, he whiffed it.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh.
Now, this is not, we should mention, not an aggregate score thing. It is just win a game. Obviously, when we get to 9 and 10, if we do have a roll-off, I think he would like to not have a microphone right now.
Well, that's a big mistake because if he gets one, he forces Kevin McCune to double.
Come on! Oh, McCune started to run that one all the way across the bridge.
So instead of a double, now he just needs a spare here after that strike.
Well, nothing's guaranteed right now after what we just saw E.J. Tackett go through. An absolutely stunning problem.
Really, both of them?
It's about the second or third time he has said really both of them.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Vi said the same thing twice last night. That first 7-10 for Vi cost him that match, and it certainly could do the same right here for Tackett. But if EJ just would have gotten the one, he would have had 194, and that would have forced McCune to strike on this ball.
Brett Spangler, the ball rep there, Tackett was talking to. Okay.
That is a big miss, and fortunate just the 6-pin. And again, the whip 7-pin in the 10th for EJ. All Kevin McCune has to do now is cover the 6. He's going to take game 1.
If he doesn't, we're going to have a one-ball roll-off.
Oh.
Yes! That wasn't pretty, but it's effective, and the first point goes to Kevin McCune in his television debut.
I stuck on the spare.
A shocking finish as Kevin McCune takes the first point in the race to 2. E.J. Tackett, the #1 seed against the #9 seed Kevin McCune. Tackett cruising along until he's stuck with a 7-10 in his 10th frame. Game number 2 is coming up. Tackett has to win or he is out. Bowlero North Brunswick is an historic house. Remember this? Randy does. Mika Quiviniemi looking for the major Mika, right? Well, there's Norm Duke. Let's not forget about that. This is 2011, February 27th. Mika needs to make a 10-pin to win. Oh, boy. Norm struck out entering after the 9th frame and captures his 7th and final on the PBA Tour. He has 2 senior major championships.
Yeah, Norm was getting smoked through the last 4 to force Mika to mark. And, you know, Mika's one of the best spare shooters on tour at the time. I remember driving to the Newark airport in disbelief. Couldn't believe it.
Well, we are absolutely honored to have, speaking of New Jersey and bowling, standing by with Kimberly Pressler and all-timer Johnny Petraglia.
Thanks, guys. So, Johnny, it was pretty cool watching all those memorable moments that happened here in this historic building. And you've been along for the ride, including there was a 10 years where the Johnny Petraglia Open, right?
Yeah, 10 years.
What does it mean to be back here after almost a decade?
It's wonderful. This is a magical place. And so many great things happen here, like Pete Weber winning the first one and the last one when he said, whoever you think you are, I am. Norm Duke we saw. Duke went here 3 times. Walter 3 times. The year in '94 when Michael J. Fox came to bowl in the Pro-Am and we had 3,000 AMs. Kyle Troop's dad, Guppy Troop, bowled in all 11 Pro-Ams. It's a wonderful place with a tremendous amount of memories.
Amazing memories, and we look forward to making more here today.
Thank you both very much. Johnny Petraglia has cashed in 6 decades.
It's 1 in 6 decades.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Absolutely unbelievable.
I mean, just one of many on a long list of great bowling talents from this area.
Right now, this match featuring 2 from Indiana. E.J. Tackett, who's now down a game to Kevin McCune. Ball change.
Yeah, ball change right out of the gate for E.J. Tackett. He goes to a venom shot. But again, getting back to some of the greats in this area, we'll start on the women's side with Kelly Kulick and Carolyn Doran-Ballard, both Hall of Famers. As you take a look at the reactive resin ball going down the lane for E.J. Tackett. And then on the men's side, obviously, the late, great Mark Roth, Johnny Parker Bone III.
They were standing there. I was about to say, oh, tough break. And then suddenly they're not there anymore.
Great break here for Kevin McCune. His dad used to do this to me all the time when I bowled him in match play. He would always trip the 4-9. I know Eugene's watching, so that's why I said that.
McCune staying with the same equipment. Man, he breaks up all sorts of trouble there and ends up with a single.
Almost big 4.
Just to re-explain what, because McCune won the first game, if he wins this game, he is advancing to the semifinals next week. And E.J. Tackett will be eliminated. However, should E.J. rise up and win this game, we will have a special 9th and 10th frame roll-off.
What was that pin that Kevin just left?
4.
You know that he's the only player in the field that left more 4 pins than 10 pins?
I can believe that. Just from what I've seen and just the short time we've been on the air, I believe it.
I got that from Lane Tuck, just so you know.
They're good.
Oh, shoot.
Hates it.
Well,
what a break.
Yeah, a huge break. He fortunately cleaned up his language for us because you know what he wanted to say. And the USFL Week 4 action continues tonight on FS1 as the Birmingham Stallions take on the Pittsburgh Maulers. It all kicks off at 6:30 Eastern on FS1. Very exclusive club when you think of all the tremendous bowlers in PBA history. EJ number 9 on that list. And 3 in a row to start things for EJ Tackett.
And the only player in PBA history to lead or be the #1 seed in 4 majors in a season is that man right there, EJ Tackett.
And now we're getting a ball change here, Randy, for McCune, but it looks like he's going to change when he switches to the left lane. He's going to hang with the right lane, but we're getting intel that he's going to make a move on the long pattern. That's wide right, but it doesn't seem to matter. Just hit the head pin.
Yeah, that's big down lane miss. Look at that. And again, when you're throwing it almost 22 miles an hour, it's just not enough time for the ball to get up the hill.
McCune down early. Terrific crowd in this unique center. There are actually 2 levels here, and they were used, the lower level and the upper level. The lower level used in some of the qualifying. This is a new ball on the left lane. And a tap 4 from the back, and the Innovator solid comes through.
More 4 pins than 10 pins? Not that time. He trips a 4 this time.
I wonder how many trip 4s he has.
Yeah, there. Well, if he's leaving more 4s than 10s, he probably has a few, right? We saw him trip the 4-9.
I think he's already today left more 4s than 10s, right? We had that one violent ringing 10, and he had a Greek church, a couple other things, but man, Tackett for 4 in a row. Look out. Trouble. Haven't got away from him.
Look at how far right that got down at the break point.
%15 PBA Tour average, and it's going to drop just a touch after that. So once again, much like the last game, just when it looked like things were going well, there's a bit of a trip up for Tackett. The last one cost him the game, and he's asking for a re-rack here. Coming up next, Anthony Simonsen, the most dangerous 12th seed in the history of professional bowling.
Yeah, no doubt, right?
Against Tomas Käyhkö. Hopefully I got that correct. Käyhkö, pardon me. There we go. That is coming up. And we mentioned Simonsen as a 12th seed. He only had to dust off Jason Belmonte, who was the potential 13th seed, Simonsen, just to get to the first show.
Yeah.
He took care of business last night. I thought there was a messenger coming for that 10-pin. And he is going to quickly go at that 10.
Right now, the issue is the right lane. He knows what his ball is going to do on the left lane. But remember, on the right lane, he went Brooklyn in the second, and then he got it right, and it went 210.
Can't make any major mistakes, though.
Guess which lane he finishes this game on?
It's going to be the right lane, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
he finished on the left last time. And we talked about in the pregame, confidence. He has a ton of it. He should have a ton of it. Has that been dented at all? And a surprisingly quiet 7-pin for the man nearly 22 miles an hour. Mentioned Kevin out of Munster, Indiana, was a ball player, 2-time state champion in high school at Andrean High School. Was also a state championship bowler in the finals, I should say. Played a little college baseball at the Purdue Northwest and went to Calumet College of St. Joseph's, and he played baseball and bowled there.
Good shot. Just throw a good shot.
Trying to talk himself into a good shot here. On this longer pattern, again, 45 feet. Dick Weber on the left, Don Carter 39 feet on the right.
Be close.
Ooh. Not a whole lot left after that one.
No. You know how you go to a nice restaurant and they scrape the breadcrumbs off with the bread? You don't have to do that when he throws a strike. There are no breadcrumbs left when Kevin McCune wipes out a deck. If he wins this game, he's moving on the next week. It was not that long ago. How about April 23rd? Wauwatosa, the Bowlero there in Wisconsin. The PBA World Championship presented by Pat's Blue Ribbon. Needed 2 to beat Belmo in the 10th. Got him. This was an epic battle between two Titans, 254 to 247. Second major of the year. 5th title this season. Thanks, EJ, for the help there. 4 career majors, the youngest to win 21 PBA titles. Hall of Fame is already stamped. No trouble there. But a little trouble here. He is, after that opening triple, after the ball change, he has not been at the best form. He lost the first game. He faces elimination here, and he has a narrow 7-pin lead.
He needs to make a really good shot on this right lane.
And he is struggling with that. He has had a Brooklyn strike. That one crossed over, and then he threw one too far right. Breakpoint was 2.4.
Pick a side. Come on.
Too far right, it hangs. Not far enough to the right, it goes through the nose or Brooklyn. That's what he's got right now on the right lane, and that's the lane he's going to finish on.
So when he says pick a side, what does that mean?
That's a great question. I mean, he's got to change whatever he's doing because it doesn't work. If he misses right of that, it goes wide, right? And it just missed a baby split. The move is either farther left and open up his angles or move right and go straighter.
Okay. And is he running out of time to make that adjustment? You see how the max scores have shifted. And right now, the winner of game 1, that was McCune, earned a point. The winner of game 2 earns the second point. If that's McCune, we're finished here, at least for this game, and we have another one coming up. But if EJ wins, rallies, and wins, then we will have a special 9th and 10th frame roll. Took a little something off of that one and just buried it.
Like I said, he's got the left lane, right? His break point on the right lane needs to be about the 5 or 6 board. He's been at 2.5, he's been at 7, he's been at 9. And that's why he's had all kinds of problems on that right lane, but this is perfect on the left.
McCune on the right, strike, 9 spare, 9 spare.
Come on.
And a sleeper, 22 miles an hour.
Yeah, that might be the first 22-mile-an-hour shot of the day for Kevin McCune, and probably has a little to do with going light and leaving the 2-8, but his angle's much different on that right lane than E.J. Tackett. It's much straighter.
All right, smothered that. Very professional spare. It was just like this in the first game. Close, nobody really running away until the end when Tackett got burned with a 7-10 in the 10th frame and then missed the 7, taking a little of the heat off Kevin McCune. But he still had to strike and spare to win the first point.
Yes! Come on!
Back and forth we go.
Left lane, the better of the two, for obvious reasons. A little more room for both players on that lane. Deeper inside on the longer pattern. Pretty common out here. The shorter the pattern, players tend to play a little farther to the outside part of the lane.
Got a big, big break there. Just to leave the 10 pin.
I think I should have stayed with that one.
Sounded like he said, I think I should have stayed with that ball. I'm wondering if it was the ball that he started the match with.
That should be the tank.
Right.
Well, good luck trying to figure out who's going to win this particular game, because it seems impossible to figure, as both. He'll take a re-rack here on the left. This lane, as Randy has mentioned, is his buddy.
And he needs a big to set up the 10th frame. But I think one of the things that we're not seeing right now on that right lane is we've seen a lot of urethane on the dual pattern on the right lane specifically. And what the urethane does is it beats up the front part of the lane, but it also carries oil down to the pins. And what that does after enough shots is it creates holds, so the players can then go to reactive and move in and create some hold down lane. That has not developed.
He owns that left lane.
I think both players do.
But this match not in his control at the moment.
Yeah, it's a great shot here on the left lane. He's very comfortable on that lane. Not sure what he's going to cook up for the right lane where he has to finish. But right now, Eugene McCune with a strike here in the 9th frame is going to be in complete control. Wide. Big wide.
My goodness. It's makeable, but I don't think I'd want to shoot that in the 9th frame in a major championship at a critical match.
Just a huge mistake. Wide right, and left himself the 2-4-10.
Bouncer. And off the back wall. All righty then. That is our spare of the game, brought to you by Guaranteed Rate. Want to get moving fast? Maybe as fast as Kevin McCune. With same-day mortgage, you can go from application to approval in as little as 1 business day. Time to get your dream home crazy fast. Learn more at rate.com.
Well, remember, we talked about straight and hard at spares, and it makes sense at splits, and you just saw for yourself why that works. When you're throwing at splits, you can sometimes bounce them out, and right now, all the breaks going Kevin McCune's way.
But look at the max scores. But here's the problem. Where does EJ finish?
Right lane.
Yeah, so let's see what happens here.
Get off, ball. Yes. Come on.
10 pin staggered by that power.
Again, let's look at these numbers right here. No matter what, Tackett cannot be shut out.
What a dilemma, though. A lane that he has had a terrible time on. He did strike on the right lane in this game, but it was a Brooklyn strike.
I was just going there. You're right.
Yeah.
The only strike on the right lane for EJ was a Brooklyn.
Carry. Yes.
My goodness.
Big shot. He's going to take a re-rack on his fill shot. That's pretty savvy for a young player making his first championship round appearance. Of course, we saw him yesterday, so is like today like his second?
Yeah, the whole tournament is coming out,
right?
Marty, apparently. I mean, he's been seen on the internet. Certainly Bowl TV has covered him. Other have covered him. But here in this unique setting that you have on over-the-air television or cable, it's a different animal, period. It really is different, and he's managed it very, very well.
What is EJ going to do on the right lane?
Oh, my God. That can't be right.
Yeah, it is. Wait, leave it up, guys. Leave it up.
You realize there are some cities in New Jersey where you would get a ticket for driving that fast.
It looked like it was shot out of a cannon.
All right, E.J. Tackett, very simple. Well, statistically simple. But this lane, I'm a classic rock guy, Randy, and the great, great, great Alice Cooper has an album from the old days, Welcome to My Nightmare. And this is E.J. Tackett's nightmare, this lane. But he can do something about it. He has the ball in his hand. Nothing else matters if he doesn't get this strike. And there's one. Unbelievable.
Four and a half board down lane, and I'm not sure the margin for error is really that big on that right lane. Remember when he hit the 6.5 board, it went high.
Yep. And then when he went 2.4, he was way wide.
It was light.
Yeah.
69% first ball in the 10th frame for E.J. Tackett throughout the event. 42% second ball in the 10th.
That's the one he has to have. Of course, the first one was the one he had to have. 4.5 break point. Flush!
How about you, E.J. Tackett? How about you?
All right, how do you attack here? You need 6.
Spare ball, straight and hard at the head pin.
Oh, okay, okay.
Stay behind the foul line.
Not dead yet.
You're right, EJ. You are not. We're moving into a roll-off.
25 mile an hour. Phil shot hit 10th for EJ. Not quite Kevin McCune speed.
All right, you just heard EJ Tackett. He has the right to choose to tell Kevin McCune what to do here, and he says he's going to let Kevin start.
Because
he's going to stick Kevin on the left lane to start.
Which makes Kevin finish on the right lane.
Exactly. So here's the deal. It's 2 frames. That's all there is to it. It's the 9th and 10th. Better score wins. If they're tied, 1 ball roll-off.
That didn't take EJ long to decide that.
That was spectacular. That's why he's the best in the game at this year. But you know, that was a pretty smooth stroke right there. McCune, you've got to love the potato chips he's got right now. With the right lane. I don't remember any right lane problems. In the beginning, when Randy and I talked at the top of noon Eastern time, we talked about one of the things that's made EJ great this year is his ability to adjust and how his lane play has improved and steadied, and he just gave you a clinic in coming off the deck to win game 2 and force this roll-off. Now he finishes on a lane where he has had success. Can he maintain that? Didn't like it, and look at this.
Dang it, EJ.
More irony than Alanis Morissette can handle. That is a unbelievable, miserable break for Tackett. Didn't throw his best ball on the lane that had been his friend.
Just a poor shot, leaving the 3-4, 6-7 for EJ.
Now, it's not like he can't make this. But, again, the circumstances. This isn't what you want for obvious reasons. Gotta go.
It didn't hook. It didn't hook. Are you serious? Oh.
McCune just basically has to stand upright.
8 to win on this first ball, yeah.
Yep. And he will eliminate the #1 seed, BJ Tackett, from this major championship.
It's pretty good.
It's good. It's real good. And Kevin McCune, the 9th seed, has scored the win, and he will advance. This satisfying moment of the match, sponsored by Snickers. Nothing satisfies like a Snickers. So the #1 seed is gone. And Kevin McCune, you will see him next week, May 13th, live on FS1, taking on either Tomas Käyhkö or Anthony Simonsen. That is our next match. And a word with Kimberly for our winner.
Kevin, you just took out the hottest player on tour right now. How did you make that happen?
Well, I've known EJ a long time, so I wasn't thinking about him as the hottest player on tour. I just thought of him as a friend because I've known him since I was little. And I'm just coming out here to beat my friend in a very high intensity match. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better match.
Absolutely. You said it perfectly. And congratulations. You now move on to the semifinals.
Thank you.
So Anthony Simonsen, the toughest 12th seed that you can think of in bowling. Not an easy path to get here, but he's now in the top 8, and he is next against Tomas Käyhkö. So let's get you caught up on the rest of our schedule here for the PBA Players Championship presented by Snickers. Coming up tonight at 9:30 Eastern on FS1. What a match this is. Jacob Buttrup and Kevin Williams. And then the lefty Matt Russo and Bill O'Neill. A couple of Northeastern guys feeling at home in this center here in North Brunswick, New Jersey. That's coming up a little bit later on tonight.
3 out of 4 lefties.
That's right. Only O'Neill stands on the right side. How rare is it that the righty has his own bowling center all to himself?
Very rare.
And don't think that O'Neill doesn't know what to do with it, because he obviously does. Next week, the semifinals at 12:30 Eastern, live on FS1, and then championship is Sunday live on Fox at 1 Eastern. Randy and Dave with you here. We just watched a stunner there with Kevin McCune moving on. You know, a lot of driving going on among professional bowlers. Let's face it, they're on the road all the time. You can't check 25 bowling balls at the airport. So Kimberly Pressler, with pressing questions, asked a very pressing question. Who's an excellent driver and who's not?
Who is the best driver?
It would be DJ. He's going to drive most of the time.
He doesn't really do much of the driving. It's pretty much me all the time. You know, he just stays over there and sleeps.
He's pretty much my chauffeur. He's my turtle in Entourage. He's it. He gets behind the wheel and he gets us wherever we gotta go. So we can start calling him Turtle. I like that.
Do you drive like a NASCAR driver?
Oh, we're whipping it. We're whipping it down the streets. No, the Telly's a very safe car, and I follow the rules at all times. So follow the speed limit and buckle your seatbelt.
Yeah, of course you do. And how are you as a driver?
I think I'm okay. There's a couple guys who I know don't like, well, I wouldn't say don't like driving with me, but they definitely fear their lives whenever they do ride with me.
Are you a GPS or a maps kind of guy?
I'm a MapQuest kind of guy. I'm old, so I print everything out before I leave.
I don't like being a passenger in a car, especially when it's my car. I'm like, you should pay attention a little more or something. No, it's just, I'm very, I guess, particular about me driving.
Who is the worst driver on tour?
The worst driver on tour is hands down Tommy Jones because he does not pay attention to the road.
They will tell you I am because I'm always on the phone, and I don't dispute that.
I'm going to start carrying a clicker in the back like they do for like pitch counts in baseball for every time we hit the rumble strips on the highway.
You know, we're always safe, but I am on the phone more than I should be.
While driving?
Allegedly.
Thank you to Go Bowling for presenting that. Remember, kids, do not text and drive.
Something you never do.
Well, okay, let's move on, shall we? We just had the big upset. Now we've got an interesting one here. Anthony Simonsen. You know, I think of the NCAA tournament, I think of seeds, 12 versus 5s. That's always exciting. Here's a 12 seed. Seriously?
Yeah.
It's just how it worked out. But, man, this is not the guy that I would be too terribly happy to see at this point. He won last night. Of course, he is the USBC Masters champ. And we talked at the top of the show, he and Tackett and Belmo. But since Jason didn't make it, as a matter of fact, the reason he didn't make it is Simonsen knocked him out. This guy's been unconscious.
Yeah, number 12 seed that's actually the favorite. And quite possibly the favorite to win it all now that E.J. Tackett's gone.
All right, so what's his deal this year? What is different about Anthony Simonsen now? He's always considered wickedly talented, but again, he is putting together a near-dominant season that he would be number one if it weren't for Tackett.
He's getting older, more mature, more experienced. I mean, he's already, and his toolbox just keeps getting bigger and bigger, right? I mean, he has every shot known to man in this sport, and he can do it all with a bowling ball. And again, you can't really put a price tag on experience, and he's just going to keep getting better and better.
However, he faces another two-hander right here in Tomas Käyhkö. This ought to be another rev rate special coming up. The quarterfinals. Race to 2 is next. The on-lane graphics you see today are courtesy of Clutch Bowling.
Love me some Clutch, brother. Man, is that good stuff.
No doubt about it. Big, big benefit for all of us and, of course, all of you, the viewers. Yes, it's rare to say Anthony Simonsen is not the higher seed. He is not. So his opponent, Tomas Käyhkö, has said, you start in the left lane and finish on the right. One of the most creative bowlers in modern history right here. And one of the best. So you've seen Tomas before, made the show, third place at the U.S. Open. Finished 15th in that pre-qualifier to advance to the main draw. He was defeated by Kyle Troop. That's the slowest ball we've seen so far today at 16.8, but it was very effective.
I call Tomas the professor. He just looks like he's always thinking and calculating in a very unique two-handed style. He's got a lot of moving parts to start, but he sure finishes nicely, doesn't he? A little softer speed, a little lower rev rate than most two-handers.
Deadly accurate, though. 17.6 miles an hour on that. He opens with a double. Out of Finland. He's moved to Helsinki.
Anthony going with urethane on the right lane, pitch black. And speaking with Sean Ryan, his tour rep, a lot of what Anthony does in his setup involves his index finger.
Dead flush. You know, so take me a little farther with the index finger. What is that?
So based on the amount of pressure he puts on his index finger will dictate what his revolutions are like, right? So more pressure on the index finger, he's going to hit it harder. Less pressure on the index finger, he's going to reduce that rev rate. And you know, it was a simple question I asked Sean. I said, look, how difficult is it for Anthony to reduce rev rate? Because if you think about it, you're like, well, two-handers, they got to cup it to hold on. But no, that's not the case. So take a look. Let's see what his index finger does with the reactive ball. You could see him actually pushing that index finger at the start. Man, yeah, beautifully. He's actually, looks like he's playing both lanes pretty close to the same. Urethane on one lane, reactive on the other.
So we're off to an excellent start here. See what they've done here in Bowlero North Brunswick. And they had the same high game. These statistics, except for the average favoring Tomas, of course, which is why he's the higher seed. Got a little bit of a break there, collapsing the 3. That ball crossed over. And that was the problem E.J. Tackett had earlier in his second game. By the way, if you're just joining us, E.J. was knocked out a few moments ago of this event by Kevin McCune in a roll-off.
And what we've seen on the right lane, if you're using reactive, is that you have to get it to at least the 6 board down lane.
With his speed. Or does that make any difference at all?
That's the ideal break point, right?
Okay.
Based on the length of the pattern, and if you're going to use reactive, because you have to open the pattern up, you have to increase angle on that lane, and you have to get it to that right spot, that correct spot down lane, in order to be effective. And that's why I think the right lane, well, we both thought the right lane was the trickier of the two. His Arsenal Black Widow 2.0 on the left lane and Game Breaker 2 on the right lane. Oh. Man.
I was just about to call that a strike, and certainly nothing wrong with it.
Well, and his numbers were pretty much identical to the shot he threw in the second frame on that lane, and this time the ball goes right by the 9-pin.
Don't expect the pro to miss this, and you're not going to see it. Not on this one. Thomas full time now. He's only been home in the last 4 months for 1 week back to Finland, and has come back and is full time on this tour. And listen, he's on his second major championship TV show.
Yeah.
So there's clearly something going right, and he's clearly handling life in these United States pretty well.
He's got a pretty good guide, too. Did you mention his roommate, his tour roommate? Santu?
Yeah, good point. Four for Anthony Simonsen.
Simonsen going with the urethane ball, the pitch black on the right lane, and reality on the left.
This is, of course, last night. The series of dominating strikes for Simonsen in defeating Chris Vi.
Chris Vi made it a match. I mean, Chris threw the last 3 to make Simonsen double in the 10th frame, and that's exactly what Simo did.
Already 5 career majors. He's 26 years old. Oh, well, there went the old perfect game right out the window there, unfortunately. A snap ringer. The majors for Simonsen, of course, the USBC Masters in 2016, PBA Players in 2019, and in 2022 he grabbed the U.S. Open and the USBC Masters, and then made it back-to-back on the Masters in Allen Park, Michigan this year. Now living in Vegas.
Interesting nugget here. Simonsen playing the left lane straighter than any player has done today. He's actually 9 boards right of where Kevin McCune was on that left lane.
Got to hurry. Oh, that's a gorgeous shot, and another stuck 9. He has thrown back-to-back, seemingly perfect shots.
A little faster ball speed on this shot, but he needed it to be just a pinch quicker. Again, 9-pin. Watch the ball go right by it. He's like, hey, thanks.
Tomas staying pretty silent during those back-to-back. He is wearing a mic. You can see it on the left side, the left collar there. But he stayed silent. I was hoping we picked up some Finnish curse words. through the nose. That's his poorest shot so far, leaving the 3-6-10.
Yeah, and you can see why right here. Everything's left and left. Fortunate just to leave what he did. No split. 3-6-10. Pay it respect.
Chop. Ooh, okay. Got it. So Anthony Simonsen hits the front four and has the advantage on Tomas Käyhkö. We try to find another semifinalist today. Take on Kevin McCune next week. Take a good look at there at Anthony Simonsen, Masters champ for 2023, trying to add another major to his resume. And he has the 25-pin advantage as we come out of the break. And this is a race to 2. If you win 2 points, 2 games, you're moving on to the semis to take on Kevin McCune next week on FS1 live. And if you split, we'll have a roll-off, which we did in the last game. Looks down through the nose, and he's a very fortunate man. And again, the toughest shot coming off of that commercial break. And I don't know if we've seen a strike coming out of a break.
We talk about the two-handed styles all the time and how different so many of these players are, and their styles are so unique. But take a look, Anthony Simonsen on the left and then Tomas on the right. You can see just how much lower and more upper body tilt Simonsen has, much more upright for Tomas.
Using the 2 different balls approach, it's working right now for Simonsen.
Carbon copy of the last couple of shots on the left lane for Simonsen. Right in between first and second arrow. And again, no player on today's telecast has played the left lane that far right and that straight.
I mentioned that Tomas is now full-time on this tour. He dipped his toes in the waters. Oh, nice looking. Man, Randy, it seemed like other than I think 1 ball, he's thrown some excellent shots and is lacking in luck.
Too much back-end reaction. You're throwing it under 17 miles an hour. That ball is hooking pretty hard after it comes off the end of the pattern. And that's what's causing the 9 pins, the 4 pins.
Yeah, he had back-to-back stone 9s earlier. He just got stuck with a 4-pin there.
So change balls goes to something that's less responsive, or you have to amp the speed up.
Registration for the inaugural 2023 PBA LBC National Championships is open now to all bowlers of all skill levels from all centers. This summer in Milwaukee, you can compete in singles as well as optional doubles and team events. Even combine your scores with the pros. Enter today at PBA.com. Oh, nice trip on the 7-pin for Tomas.
And those last 2 shots are very telling of the differences between the 2 patterns, aren't they? I mean, look at the subtlety of the down lane reaction on the left lane versus how much his ball hooks in the back end on the right lane. And then we're talking just 6 feet difference in length.
Another crazy thing about Simonsen, what's the worst he's done is 10th place?
Yeah.
This year. And if there's a major telecast on Fox, you'll see Anthony Simonsen this year. Bam. Oh, boy. Well, good looking ring in 10 if there is such a thing. There isn't.
Good shot by Simonsen on that right lane. Staying with the urethane. Going at a 227 clip if he makes it. And he's doing what he needs to do, and that's keep the ball in play and keep it in the pocket. Tomas Käyhkö.
Käyhkö. We tried with him, by the way, and it's so funny. We talked about this. When somebody has a name unique to an American, they'll pronounce it. You'll give it back to them, and you think you're nailing it, and it's not quite there.
Right.
So we're doing our very best.
Yeah. So Tomas, his max score is 233, but Simonsen can still max out for 247. And again, he's labeling it on that left lane.
Yeah, the left lane has been the right-hander's friend today. It's interesting because Tackett had opportunities. E.J. Tackett was defeated a little while ago, but he got tripped up by big, gaping potholes and big mistakes, 7-10, which, bad luck there. But, there were moments that tripped up E.J. So far, Simonsen has avoided, and that's where you see a very, very clean first 9 for him. The right lane, that's just an absolute snap hook. The shorter of the two patterns, the Don Carter, 39 feet, has been at times a torture chamber for these bowlers.
Cut the 3 over into the 4-7, and again, the right lane proven to be difficult. He's got 1 strike on that lane through this game. He moved another 2 boards left on that shot and still went through the nose.
But, I thought he had that. And Simonsen just about has this first point nailed. Left lane, friend, right lane, foe. So he's going to have to start thinking about what changes might need to be made to try to master the right lane. E.J. Tackett made an incredible adjustment, come from behind to win the second game, only to have the left lane beat him in the roll-off and losing to Kevin McCune. So Simonsen on his way to point number 1. And that will do it. So Anthony Simonsen has taken the first point. If he takes the second one, he is advancing to take on Kevin McCune in what will be an explosive semifinal next week. Simonsen takes the first on the race to 2. At Bowlero in New Jersey, the PBA Players Championship quarterfinals presented by Snickers. The PBA on FS1 is sponsored by Go Bowling. For friends and family fun, log on to GoBowling.com to find a center near you. By Guaranteed Rate. Want to move fast? With same-day mortgage, you can go from application to approval in as fast as 1 day to get you closing on the home of your dreams in just 10 days. Learn more at rate.com. And by Bowlero, the #1 place to bowl, party, and play, with over 325 locations nationwide. Head to Bowlero.com today to find a center near you. All right, Tomas Käyhkö, this is your challenge. Can you bounce back and win this game and keep your hopes alive against Anthony Simonsen in the quarterfinals here in Bowlero, the PBA Players Championship presented by Snickers. And nice trip on the 4. I'm Dave Lamont. Of course, Hall of Famer Randy Peterson by my side and Kimberly Pressler lane side.
Simonsen staying with the urethane ball on the right lane. Again, Dave, you've mentioned it. I've mentioned it. It's the first to win 2 games. If they split, we'll have a 9th and 10th frame roll-off.
Which we had in our opening match.
Yes, we did. So remember the ring 10 last game, right? And then now the flat 10, and that's typically what we see when urethane balls stop working. What we also see is that the players will hit or looked like the repeating shots hit the same target, and then all of a sudden, the next shot out of their hand hooks at their toe and goes through the nose of Brooklyn.
So when a urethane ball stops working, what do?
You got to react it. Now, first time we've seen the urethane ball that far right on the right lane today. Simonsen pushing oil down the lane. So, in theory, he could move left of where he's at, use that oil that's pushed down lane for hold, but go to a reactive ball.
And don't think that this guy hasn't thought of all that, what Randy just mentioned, because he has a mind for this game. And the physical gifts to go with it.
Might happen.
And Simonsen, very calm demeanor throughout this match. He had an interesting, he almost, when we got down to 18, 6 more had to be eliminated on Friday. And it got down to 12th and 13th place, and it ends up that Jason Belmonte and Anthony Simonsen tied. Oh, big save and a beauty there for Tomas. And of course, Simonsen ended up routing Belmonte to take the 12th and final spot.
Well, I talked earlier the adjustment that Tomas had to make, right? He had to go to a ball that was less reactive down lane. Well, he just did that. He went to a urethane ball. He went to a purple hammer.
Yeah, no stone nines there. He got burned with back-to-back solid 9 pins, did Tomas, in that first game. Trip 4. And it was Simonsen who started fast in the first game. Now it's Tomas who's starting fast in the second game.
And a great break right here, tripping the 4, 7-10 late. But the difference between these two players on the left lane, 20 boards at the laydown, meaning where the ball comes into contact with the lane, and 16 boards at the arrows. That's how much different these two guys are. Simonsen goes reactive now.
And he almost left the big 4.
And I think that's okay because he's probably going to move left off of that shot and look for that push, that urethane hold down lane.
Constant adjustments being made today by all 4 of our bowlers. As these lanes break down, these dual patterns, but completely different. They're side by side, but couldn't be any more different. 45 and 39. Named after superstars in the history of bowling, the Dick Weber pattern on the left and the Don Carter pattern on the right. And a lot of our statistic information, these gentlemen are just an arm's length away. Our friends from Lane Talk, we can't thank them enough for all they do for us and, of course, for you, the viewer, as well.
I've got that app on my phone.
Well, I'm going to hit you with something here in a second. You know, since I've talked about Don Carter a couple times, and his name is on one of the patterns. Bowl much at Don Carter Kendall Lanes back in the day, as they say.
I actually won a tournament there. I won the Budweiser Classic in 1989.
I'm trying to think if I was there. I don't think I was. No, 89 I wouldn't have been there.
I beat Dave Ferrara, Hall of Famer.
I remember I did an interview with Bo Burton there for a radio station I was working with at the time on the night that he happened to throw a 300. Wow. But he didn't win the tournament. Yeah,
oh, my!
Käyhkö getting a few breaks now. Head pin gets the job done. Well, the beer frame sponsored by Pabst Blue Ribbon of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Great town, by the way. Ask for the original, and please drink responsibly. Mixer, 5 in a row.
Well, how about this? Prior to that shot, he only had the front 4. Started with the front 4 5 times in the entire 48 games qualifying. So this was number 6. But every time he started with the front 4, he'd get the 5th one.
Dang. Well, he's done it again. Anthony Simonsen at a lovely possible 270. Might not be enough. Pretty shot. Just a dominating shot by Simonsen. And he has to.
Come on.
Remember, we have another show that will be on tonight. Bill O'Neill, Matt Russo in one match. Kevin Williams, Jacob Buttriff. 3 out of 4 bowlers left-handers, and you'll see that at 9:30 Eastern tonight. Right here from Bowlero, New Jersey in North Brunswick, an historic home in bowling history.
Oh, man. Well, Simonsen made the adjustment on the right lane, Dave. He moved a couple boards left, and he struck to catch that double, and he backed it up with a really solid shot there, only to leave that stupid 10-pin.
He's still looking to the heavens, but the heavens are busy right now.
Nice break.
So Simonsen staying clean. He hasn't had a big mistake at all, but he's in trouble in game number 2 in this race to 2 as Tomas Käyhkö, front 5. First ball out of the break's always the toughest. Let's see what happens when we return to New Jersey in the quarterfinals of the PBA Players presented by Snickers. Wonderful gathering here. The PBA Players Championship presented by Snickers at Bowlero North Brunswick in North Brunswick, New Jersey. Mike J always does a great job getting the extra enthusiasm out of the crowds wherever the tour is. Well, we have a Pabst 6-pack alert. If Tomas strikes here, he'll win $1,000, sponsored by Pabst Blue Ribbon of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Please remember to drink responsibly. Could have been a lot worse.
Yeah. Fortunate, just the 4-pin.
And our race to 2, Käyhkö. In the lead here, lost the first game and by a lot, over 40 to Anthony Simonsen. Actually, no, not over 40. Anthony split in the 10th, but it had zero effect on the outcome of the match. But this time he has bounced back with a vengeance, nailing down the front 5. Double mess? Nope. Maybe the weight of 2 pins could have taken out that 10, but not happening.
Yeah, a lot of action over in the 10-pin area, but no dice. Head pin comes over, takes a look, but a little short. Another pin kind of shoves on the 10, but 10 still standing. And this is exactly what you're looking for if you're Simonsen to get back into this match.
But Tomas quietly going about his business. But Simonsen now, you see how the max scores have shrunk a little bit. '47th career television appearance for Simonsen. Just a zip line.
He's bringing it at almost 20 miles an hour and 500 RPMs. But let's take a look now as Anthony moves over to that left lane. The Dick Weber oil pattern, you can see the difference between the way Tomas and Simo are playing that lane. Simonsen, the red ball, much faster, much straighter. And when we get to the numbers, they're truly staggering in terms of the difference. Take a look at these numbers. Arrow position and launch position.
Launch this, says Simonsen, as he launches a double onto his scorecard.
Exactly what he was looking for, obviously, after the 2 spares by Tomas to let him back into game 2. Again, look at the max scores right there, folks. 268 for Käyhkö and 249 Simonsen.
Pretty, well, what a response. It had to happen for Tomas that time, and he just nailed it. Now today on FS1, the NASCAR Cup Series battles the high speeds and tenacious track at Kansas Speedway. Pre-race coverage begins at 2 Eastern, and the engine start for the Advent Health 400 at 3, only on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. You might see something faster than Kevin McCune's ball, but I'm not sure you will.
Oh, man. The numbers look good, but the end result doesn't.
And Simonsen very calm as he watches this. And how do we make this?
You get the ball over here to the left side of the 3-pin. Ball will take out the 6 and the 10, and then that 3-pin goes into the 4 and the 7. That shot there was just a tad slower, but that was the most downlane reaction we've seen for him on that left lane.
16% chance of making this by the Niners. Well, and he's a man of few words. That sigh is like a paragraph.
Well, and now take a look at what happened to these numbers.
And Simonsen has the first point. If he can close this out, he will advance. A guy who almost didn't make it into the top 12. Now here he is in the quarterfinals. And if he finishes this off, he'll be in the semis against Kevin McCune next week live on FS1 at 12:30 Eastern on Saturday.
Late.
Uh-oh. Look at this. That's worse.
Yeah, much worse.
It was the right lane again, by the way, folks.
Well, he got it in and left to target. He said lay, wanted it to hold, but he's got to get this over into here. Again, kind of the same idea of cutting the 3 into the 4-7, but he's got to also have enough hook on the back end to cover that 9-pin.
Simonsen walking away for the moment. You see Jeff Goodyear, and not sure. Oh, he's just going to bring out new equipment. Got a hook. What place was that? Did you see the 7-pin almost took that thing out?
Well, I can't believe he didn't cover the 9. He looked like he had enough hook to get that back pin.
Oh, it got blocked. And suddenly, Randy just highlighted the max scores. Now they're all in favor of Tomas Käyhkö.
Well, sorry.
No, that's all right. Go ahead, please.
I was just going to say, after an open, Anthony's strike percentage is 70%, highest in the tournament.
That's about all you can do in that situation. Try to throw a little heat at Käyhkö. If Käyhkö wins this game, we will have a roll-off, 9th and 10th frame roll-off. Anthony will take a re-rack here. And that roll-off is unforgiving. You can ask E.J. Tackett that. Because he was defeated by Kevin McCune, knocked out of the tournament. as the #1 seed. Simonsen kind of notorious for the re-racks?
He's very good at his observations of bad racks. I mean, good shot there. I mean, he works on the machine. If something were to break down right now during a telecast and we needed somebody to run down the lane and fix it, he could do it.
No kidding. I believe that. Yeah, I could see that.
Time my second re-rack, please.
And he's going to take his second and last of the re-racks right here.
Ice, please.
You think this is a mind game here? Huh?
I think he's doing exactly what he should be doing, and that's making Tomas wait as long as possible to throw his 10th frame.
Well, if he hits this, Tomas has to mark, correct?
Correct. If he strikes here and Tomas gets 9 in 2 shots, we'll have a tie. And that would be a 1-ball roll-off.
Before we get to our other roll-off. Potentially.
Man, there's a lot of roll-offs.
There are. All right, so Simonsen does what Simonsen does. Tomas now finishing on the unfriendlier right lane, where he did strike last time. He's actually been okay on this right lane. Strike, strike, 9 spare, strike.
Yeah, and his strike percentage after an open, one of the lowest in the field.
It just got a little higher.
It did. It improved.
That is an impressive shot.
What happens now?
Okay, we're tied now, 1-1.
Okay.
So we'll go to the 9th and 10th roll-off, and someone's not walking out of here. I don't want to say alive. That's a bit dramatic. But, you know, someone's going to walk out of here still bowling. Someone's going to walk out of here heading to Delaware.
Gotcha.
For the Roth-Holman doubles next week. All he had to do was show up. He did. And we are going to the 9th, 10th frame roll-off. Normal scoring, in case you missed the first one between Tackett and McCune.
Tomas will get his choice of what lane he wants to start on and where he wants to finish.
He's done great on this right lane. I have to think he wants to finish there, right?
It's a really interesting picture, right? Like Simonsen goes from urethane to reactive. Tomas goes from reactive to urethane.
By PBA rule is 1 run time must be broken by 9th.
So it is the higher seeds choice. There you see, higher pinfall wins. Max score is 60. If tied, Dino Castillo there offering some advice.
Yeah. I think you finish on the right lane. Because you're
Yeah. I'll finish on the right lane. So.
And you heard for a quick conversation with veteran Dino Castillo, and it's going to be the right lane finish for Käyhkö.
And it kind of makes sense because in the last game he struck 5 out of 7 times, including the 10th frame on that right lane.
But remember the irony of the last roll-off?
Yeah.
Tackett, who struggled, got hot on the right lane, killed the left lane all match, and then it killed him at the end. So there's no guarantee.
High again on that left lane.
But at least it wasn't bad.
No, 4-pin good.
So
big splits bad.
Yeah. Put that in a t-shirt. 4-pin good, big splits bad. Or just big splits bad. All right. Not surprising to see him cover it.
Good spare shooter, obviously. You don't get to this point especially with 48 games if you can't make a spare.
It's funny, we talked to him briefly about his U.S. Open experience, and he said, you know, my heart was beating faster than ever. He just doesn't look like that guy, doesn't he? He's just so calm.
I call him the professor. You know, even when we were interviewing him and looking at him, he just looked like he was thinking, calculating something, like he was looking at numbers on a blackboard.
Well, here's the beautiful mind right here of Anthony Simonsen. So he gunned that, breaking the 20-mile-an-hour barrier for a powerful strike.
About a half a mile an hour faster on this shot here on the right lane for Simo.
So he can shut out Tomas in this frame.
2-1.
And if he does so, he will advance to the semis next week. His opponent will be Kevin McCune. I almost said Eugene McCune, but it's Kevin McCune.
10.
Oh, boy. No, you can see the messenger wasn't going to make it. But, all right, that changes a few things.
Changes everything. Same kind of thing from our first matchup with McCune and E.J. Tackett. Tackett decides to finish on that left lane.
Nobody has shot at more 10 pins this week here at Bowlero in North Brunswick than Anthony Simonsen.
No one.
You heard him say, got to be a little better shot.
My goodness.
You know, there's 20 states where that's not allowed.
I believe that's illegal overseas.
Whew. Watch this. Look at this. What were the miles per hour on that messenger? All right, 2-1 now for Tomas to advance.
Oh, man.
The irony of that, the guy who's seen the most 10 pins beats the guy because of a 10 pin.
Isn't that crazy?
So Anthony Simonsen, the most dangerous 12th seed perhaps in the history of athletics, is moving on to the semifinals. Our coverage of the PBA Players Championship presented by Snickers continues tonight at 9:30 Eastern here on FS1 with 2 more hours of quarterfinal action. Coming up next here on FS1, NASCAR Race Day from Kansas. That'll be a great one. For Randy Peterson, Kimberly Pressler, and the best crew ever, I'm Dave Lamont, thanking you for watching. You've been watching the PBA on FS1. We will see you at 9:30 Eastern tonight.